Oh, what the hell, dude?
What the hell, dude?
What'd I do?
What?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Area Nerdy 1 Talk Show. I am Matt.
I'm Sith Lord Jimmy.
I'm Jarrett.
Oh man, this is going to be an amazing episode because we got Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker.
Da 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 da.
Yo.
Da,
Yo.
da, da, da.
The series died with Luke Skywalker.
Ugh. We'll get into that.
Hold
later.
on.
Spoiler alert.
Can I just tell you guys like about my Star Wars dream I had the other night?
Okay.
I was like, this is whole, I was
Has
like
to be
I woke up
Matt.
Was Slave
I
Leia
woke up
involved
laughing.
at all?
I woke
Slave
up laughing.
Jabba the Hutt. Ooh.
Okay. All right, so you know the scene in Empire Strikes Back when Captain Piet gets promoted to Admiral Piet when the guy gets choked out. So I had my dream was that he had a promotion party where like it was dedicated to him and it was like all the officers were like at this party. He comes in, he's all excited and all the other officers are standing there. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got promoted. I'm Admiral now." And then all of a sudden the other officers are like, "Good," until you screw up and he's like, "Whoa, wait, what?" He's like, "Yeah, I mean, you saw how the other guy died, right?" He goes, "No. What happened?" And all of a sudden, he looks over to his right. There's like a memorial wall. It has all the officers that says "Death from Vader's fist." And it was just like a picture of all
Do you
the
think,
officers.
the actual promotional parties were funerals as well?
Oh, I won.
Yeah, it was like all in
At their
one.
funeral, they're like, "Well, this is your promotion party too, bud. So drink up."
And there's, I don't know why I'm there. I was just like spectating this entire scene. All of a sudden, he's like looking around. There's like a donation jar, like for him in particular. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like speech. So he gets up on the podium. He's looking to his left. There's like a betting pool on when he's gonna die from Darth Vader. And then straight down, he's like looking at this group of people, all the officers in the Empire, and a bunch of stormtroopers are there too. And he's just like about to go speak, and he just does that big swallow, like he's nervous. He's just like, he looks down the lane, and there's Vader in the back of the hallway with his arms crossed, just waiting to hear what he has to say. And I'm spectating from the seat down, just like laughing, and I woke up laughing. I don't know how it happened, but I just like thought, oh, that'd be such a funny skit to do, where it's like you're just like, oh, I'm Admiral Piet, I just got promoted.
His speech is just, "Thank you."
He's just like,
stage.
I'm glad to be here, and all of a sudden Vader's just like, he's like about to choke. He's like,
just like, this is a picture of him and goes like, "Ah."
oh yeah, the one guy, his like best friends in the crowd, like,
"It's gonna be you."
Or like he's looking around and then like from behind a pillar, Darth Vader just like leans out like this.
just pokes his head out.
And people are like, before his speech, like, "Don't choke."
Hey, you got him, bud. Don't choke out there. Choke?
Ooh.
Choke? Oh my god! I just wanted to tell you guys that because I had that dream and I just like couldn't let it down. I was like, this is gonna be perfect for the Star Wars episode.
Yeah.
But but before we get into the Star Wars topic, let's kind of break down some stuff that's going on in the nerdosphere. So you know how we in the game episode we were talking about Pokemon quite a lot. Well, I got Shield, Pokemon
Sword
Shield.
and Shield. Oh, Shield. Okay.
Shield, and dude, this game is good.
Have you slept in the past 3 days? Let's ask that.
No,
question.
I have not. Dude, I'm gonna name off my team right now. Okay, I have the six people on my team. All right, you guys are
gonna have to describe which ones they are too, because in their typings, because we don't know most of those new Pokemon.
Yeah, no.
Okay, you know Lapras, right?
Well, do we know Lapras?
All right.
Do you even know me?
I'm sorry, Jarrett. I'm
All right, if it's the original.
sorry, it was a
150,
dark
we know.
magician.
Yeah. Okay. Whoa, sorry, Matt.
Cinderace. Now he's a starter. He's the fire starter in Sword and Shield. He's a bunny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
he's like fire and fighting, and he's really really good.
Oh, another fire and fighting.
Yeah, so it's like Blaziken.
I thought that. Wait, is typing actually fire and fighting?
I think so. I mean, I know he's definitely fired. He has fighting moves, so I'm assuming so.
Why? I heard that they wanted it to be fire and electric, but
That'd be pretty insane, honestly.
yeah.
That's OP.
But now I got Golurk. Golurk, he's a ghost ground type, and he looks like a big like castle looking thing or a big knight.
Oh, he looks like
fat
he looks like a he's a they're based it's based on a golem, right?
Not not really. Can't really. I'll try to show you the picture from here. I don't know if that'll be helpful. Where's your thing?
Dude, yeah, we can't really see it.
Nope, not getting anything.
All right.
We'll probably have to look it up later.
Yeah, look it up later or something. Oops, I just caught my headphone on the thing.
Tell you
If
what.
you guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Tell you what, when you're editing this part of the film, put like the actual images of the Pokemon like up in the right hand corner or something.
Yeah, I'll put them like right here.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Also I got Jolteon,
Okay.
Okay.
Tyranitar,
Oh yeah,
Okay,
T-Tars.
and Machamp.
So not a lot of the new Pokemon.
No, there's quite a bit. It's a mix of everything. There is literally a mix of everything. And
Well,
also,
I mean the new generation. I mean the only thing of the new generation you have is that starter.
yeah, the Cinderace. But I have a Bolton too, which is like a dog. It starts out as like an electric corgi,
Yeah.
and then it evolves into like an electric dog.
Doggo.
Once you see, I'll put a picture of all the ones right here.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay.
But overall, as a game, you like it?
Yes, I love it, and I recommend you guys get it. Anybody that has a Switch or whatever, get the game. It's so good.
Sweet. All right. What other games have you been playing?
Fallen Order.
How is it?
It is amazing, guys. Like, I'll tell you something. I've throughout all the games I've ever played, I've never seen such a smooth transition from a clone era to an Empire era like this. Because
Star Wars Battlefront 2. Jeez.
no, I mean I'm talking like within the storyline. Because like, all right, I mean spoiler alert for anybody who is playing it and has not seen the rest of it yet. Fair warning. You know, obviously this character named Cal, he's a Jedi he survived Order 66. He was like a little Padawan kid at the time. You start out as like you're in like a junkyard kind of working on some stuff or whatever, and he reveals that he has Jedi powers, and he goes on the run. And then at one point in one of the levels, you go back. He like has a vision. He goes back in time when he was a Padawan, learning on a ship on a Star Destroyer, and all of a sudden like his master's talking to him. And in the background, you see a clone hold up one of them, like what do they call it? The little like
Communicators.
communicator thing, and all of a sudden showed the Emperor saying Order 66, and you're like, oh my gosh, and his master decapitates him pretty much, but what I mean by the transition is that like you see that, but then also when you go to different levels of the game, you see clone artifacts there. Like there's clone helmets that are like stacked up as like a memorial. You see clone ships that have been gunned down or been wrecked. You see dead clones like just laying there. But it's like it's amazing to see those things together into one one thing now. It's like almost like you can kind of relate the two.
So it's direct aftermath of the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Well, I think
It's
that's
5 years. It's 5 years after Order 66 happened.
Okay.
So, regardless of what you think about the movies, what I've been hearing is that for the Star Wars games, they pretty much rock the park with gameplay and especially the stories.
Yeah. And are the games canon now?
Nah, I don't think so.
Or is
some of them.
Is Fallen Order canon? I'm pretty sure it is.
I think somebody said it was. I think it's because they added it in because being that it's Order 66 was pulled through it, and it's actually really close to that era of the movies.
And it's made post Disney buyout. So.
Yeah. The official decree from the bearded face of George Lucas himself was pre-2015 only the movies and the Clone Wars show was canon, and then everything that comes out after 2015 is canon.
Right. Exactly.
So there are lots. That's the thing I always wanted to see if they were gonna do. If they were gonna actually put more canon Jedi that survived Order 66, not just.
Oh
Yoda
yeah.
And,
Oh, they have there's a character in the game who he was on Dathomir actually, and he becomes one with the Night Brothers, which are pretty much the race that Darth Maul is.
Actually, his race is Zabrak, and the Night Brothers are like the order or the tribe, whatever.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Check yourself, Matt.
Yeah, casual.
Boomer.
10-4 dinosaur.
Guys, I'm only 27 years old. It's okay.
Yeah. Sorry I actually do, but please continue.
It's okay. But there's this guy. He became a leader of that tribe, and he was a Jedi at the time, but then he gave into that power of the dark side, and actually he dual wields 2 red lightsabers, and you actually get an option to fight him if you go through the storyline right. But I didn't go the right way, so basically I missed that opportunity. But that being said, you see him, and then the girl the woman that you are in the game with, she is a former Jedi. She cuts herself off from the Force. And
isn't this a lot like Force Unleashed?
Yes, it's a lot like Force Unleashed, but it's a modern version, and it's honestly it's good, dude. I'm not even finished with the game yet. Like, I still got a lot to go. But I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna get too much into it.
Okay.
But go ahead and order it.
Does it without spoiling too much, does it explain what happened to the droid army after the Clone Wars?
There was a deactivation. So
Yeah.
they deactivated all of that and scrapped all the armies.
Okay, they scrapped them. Okay, because I was wondering, it's like, well, what happened to all the droids just lying around?
Those are in like legends and like stuff that's technically not. I think some of it's not canon. So what happened is, like, there was a massive deactivation, but there were some separatist holdouts, and people resisting. A couple of, like, droid armies still, like, technically active, but not in active duty.
Okay.
And actually, a lot of the old separatist holdouts become, part of the Rebel Alliance.
Oh.
And also, I was talking to this guy on Instagram. I forgot his username. I'll have to look it up later. But I saw him make a post about how the B1 battle droids were actually not what were used in Episode 1. It was a different set of droids because they were controlled by one ship.
Yeah.
Whereas throughout the Clone Wars, it was controlled throughout their own personal computers.
So that was during the Separatist crisis, and then the Clone Wars
Yes.
are a completely different thing. Not a completely different thing, but the Separatist crisis leads up to the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
like the firing on Fort Sumter was the first,
Yeah, but it wasn't a separate conflict.
Yeah.
You're probably thinking of, like, the Separatist conflict is like World War One, and then World War II is the Clone Wars.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great example to put for it. There's
Except
actually
it didn't actually happen, so.
There's actually a scene in the game where, like, it's in the beginning actually. You see one of the separatists, like, those big ships that had like it looked like a horseshoe and then like had the mini Death Star in the middle.
Yeah.
You actually see one of those get lowered into the planet, which is actually pretty cool because it's like, oh wow, separatist ship.
Yeah.
And you see a bunch of those clone ships getting taken apart. But I mean, it's one of those games that, like, I think was very, very good about transitioning from Clone Wars to Empire era storyline. But enough of me talking about the game. Go out and get it. It's really, really good, and just take your time with it. Also, learn how to play the game. Actually, don't rush into it like I did.
Okay.
Yeah. But so today's topic, guys, the Rise of Skywalker 2. The reason why I call it 2 is because we had our first ever episode on this channel about the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
So we're gonna call it Rise of Skywalker 2. Sorry. We've had some. Yeah, we're here. That's perfect. Yes. It's like coming back because we have more information now. That we got new trailers. Obviously, did you guys see the little clip that just came out a couple days ago?
I haven't watched all of it. I've seen, like, it's basically a motor, like a hover bike, like chase in the on yet another desert planet.
Yes, and it's two. You got 2 bike troopers that are on 2 ships, and then you got jetpack troopers on the back that flap in the air, and that's all you see. At that point.
Yeah, I saw that part. Yeah.
But you see Poe, Dameron, Finn, Rey, BB-1 or BB-8. I'm sorry. Wow, BB-1. I was thinking of BD from Fallen Order. Sorry. God, I gotta stop playing that game for a day. But yeah, I feel like in that little scene there, it wasn't really much to give, but it was nice to see like a little bit of some action to see what we're heading towards.
Right.
Because obviously this whole thing about the Emperor, I think that's like the key thing that everybody wants to see is the Emperor showing up in this movie.
Well,
I think that's the one thing.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there.
I bet it's a red
God.
herring.
Oh, I'm gonna stop you right freaking there. Okay, so first and foremost, they've been what we've been talking a lot about on this series is like the finale fatigue. You know, they so basically they have to cram in the Death Star, their arbitrary Death Star that they're bound to have again in this third one because they're following the format of
Frozen over Starkiller base.
yeah,
Just saying.
exactly, and then they have the chase scene, and then they have the final battle between Rey and Kylo Ren, and then maybe Rey becomes evil, who knows, and then the final battle of the ship. So there's a lot of stuff that they already showed us in those trailers.
And they've got like about 5 or 6 new characters to shoehorn in there.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Lando Calrissian as well, probably gonna get killed.
And they'll probably
Yes.
also have to explain how Darth Maul became a crime lord for Solo, Star Wars story.
Right, but at the same time, they have to explain the First Order because I really don't get it.
So yeah, what that seems like. So they describe it as I don't know how you say it. Is it junta? Junta?
Mhm.
So basically, they're like, okay, there was a contingency plan after the Emperor died,
Right.
For like a faction of the Imperial officers to like take a bunch of ships and resources and stuff and flee into deep space.
Okay.
And while they're in deep space, they basically regrouped and formed and like reorganized themselves into the First Order. So it's kind of like I think it keeps getting compared to like how like the Germans fled to Argentina in after World War II.
Yeah, and then came back to Germany with their giant battle cruisers, and they're wait.
Yeah. Okay. It's not exactly like world history. So
But the thing is, like, they don't have
they really leaned into the like fascist dictatorship look this time around, though.
Right. But the thing is, like, the thing I'm confused on, like, for the original trilogy, the Tridge, the Empire has already taken over. You know they're the authority. You know where they stand. You know they basically they are the police, but they're the thing you need to fight against. But for the First Order, as far as I've seen, all both the movies that came out, I don't see them occupy anything. They don't have any planets. They don't have any technical authority. And so. Wow.
Yeah, I had to
There
like.
was presence though.
Yeah, I had
there
to.
was
I had,
definitely Empire presence in different planets.
First Order, they're
Yeah.
interchangeable, but
Yeah, so I had to like read into like the back. Yeah, you're right. They didn't explain any of this in the movie. I had to like read into the backstory to find all this stuff out. So basically, what happened is like the First Order like revealed itself and started taking over planets, and they gained a bunch of territory, and then like the New Republic fought back, and they came to like a truce, like a Cold War almost. But Leia Organa's like they're not gonna do that, use that truth. They're not gonna honor that. So she formed her own military.
the Rebel Alliance. I mean the Resistance.
Yeah, the Rebel Resistance, and so the First Order controlled a section of space. So they're like a little mini empire, but they.
You see, they should have explained that. And the thing about the original trilogy that was amazing was they really understood storytelling. Like the original movie, they really had a grasp of the hero's journey and showcasing evil. You didn't, Palpatine didn't need really a background because at that point, because he already embodied, evil.
Well,
and he was
already the Emperor. Like,
yeah, well,
already the Emperor.
Yeah, in the first movie, they weren't actually gonna make. I don't think they were like actually gonna make the Emperor like a Force user at first. He was just gonna be a politician. But then by the third movie, they're like, okay, we're gonna actually make him like a powerful Sith Lord.
Yeah. But then now you have this new threat, which is the First Order. And there is, I get like the whole Snoke mystery background thing, but the thing is, you have so many questions here, like how does the First Order act? Like why do they think they're the the authority? Who's Snoke? All this stuff, and like your movie should be able to convey that message and not have you like do hours of research after that.
Yeah. Well, I would have
See,
thought. I would. Oh, sorry. You go first, man.
I'm sorry. I just want to say this. I think that J.J. Abrams has a different approach to how these movies are going to turn out. Like, I feel like he's more of the shocker effect and the moment of surprise, and I feel like he's just trying to have everybody. He wants everybody to think, and he wants to reveal everything at the end. Which I think that can hurt. That can hurt a lot of. It's already hurt a lot of the fan base of the movie because it's like, first of all, like you said, Jared, like, you know, Snoke. The whole thing is such a mystery. He like to all of us right now. He was just a puppet.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a puppet. He was like in the Force Awakens. We saw this guy on a hologram, which, first of all, I thought that was his real size at the beginning.
Yeah, me too. At first, I thought.
I was like, holy cow, this is going to be crazy.
Right.
But then, obviously, you see the thing go, oh, okay, never mind then.
Right.
But, I mean, he was big.
He's still mysterious and, like...
Yeah, it's still mysterious. But then, like, killing him off in The Last Jedi, it was like,
well,
okay, what's your approach now?
They also changed up the directors and all the writers, too. But, like, Snoke is supposed to be, like, this super good and powerful dark side of the Force user, but we never really get them to see that. And then, of course, General Hux, I thought he was going to be, like, a foil to Kylo Ren, you know? Like, you know, Kylo Ren's obviously more emotional, and he's more, like, you know, pissed off, whereas Hux would have been, like, you know, the ambitious general who's more, you know, analytical, focus-driven, you know, strategic. You know, but in the second movie, they just changed his character completely to, like, this bumbling buffoon, you know?
Yeah, they made it They made that movie very goofy. I feel like there was too much humor in that.
Too much Marvel.
Plus,
Yes.
Plus, I think I just like to take a moment to say I immensely enjoyed Andy Serkis's voice acting and motion capture.
Oh my god!
Snoke. Yeah.
Well, and I will say I do hate that movie. I think it's terrible, but it is. The actors are phenomenal. They do a great job with the script, and of course Andy Serkis is always phenomenal at everything he does. And it is a beautiful movie. It is striking how amazing it is.
So I don't know if I said this the last time, but I heard I agree 100% with this. Before I saw the movie, I asked one of my friends, like, what do you think of it? He's like, it's the best movie I've ever seen, one of the best movies I've ever seen, put together with one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You guys can guess which one's the best part and which one's the worst part. But so I would have thought that to answer your question about the First Order, I would have thought, you know, if I was on the writing staff, I would have thought they would have like made like a cult of personality around the Emperor and like the
Supreme Leader.
Yes. Or well, no, Sidious.
Oh, Sidious. Okay.
Palpatine. So like, well, I get like they wanted to have another villain in there, you know, big villain in the form of Snoke, and they couldn't have him like, you know, being like, hey, look, Sidious, because they wanted him to be the big villain.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's, you know.
But the thing is, like, at least with the prequels are a mess, you know, but at least they did their own story. They didn't rely on a lot of, you know, callbacks and stuff like that. I think these new movies are just really banking on all of the nostalgia and then all of, like, you know, all that kind of thing without really striking out and doing their own real new thing.
Yeah. So like when they do their own real thing, so like, you know, a lot of people shit on Rey and on Rose and stuff, and like, so that I think is I think that's, to my eye, that's something that they were trying to do new, but it kind of got hijacked and turned, like, you know, like the whole, like, turned into like sort of a profit generating thing.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, having a strong female lead and like having like a different type of character come up, you know, that would, you know, because, you know, those characters are for, like, you know, the younger generation, the, you know, little girls who want to actually watch Star Wars now.
Right.
I thought that was cool, but then of course it, you know, kind of gets sucked into the generic story and
the thing. All right, so this is it's gonna be a little controversial. I'm not trying to be insulting to anything, but I think Hollywood just doesn't know how to write for women. They, instead of making like a good character, they make an overpowered character and say that's good enough.
I feel like they could have written more, because I mean, like you said earlier, Jarrett, with the mysteries with Snoke, I feel like, you know, even with Rey's identity, like I think we all are starting to suspect it's like, okay, she's a Skywalker, right? Maybe she is, whatever. But it's like, I feel like they could have dove into that a little bit more. I feel like they could have like brought out more of like a story for her instead of this, oh, she was nothing but trash. She started off from nothing and now she's a Jedi. But it's like maybe they could have started off like, oh, she was already a Jedi and she knew about it. She just hid it from everyone.
Well,
or, you know what I mean?
Well, her background doesn't really matter to me. I mean, the point is that anybody can be a Jedi, if they have like Force powers, But the thing is, look, look at Luke. He was kind of the same thing, basically beat for beat the same kind of thing. But you could actually empathize with Luke. He had he wanted more. He actually wanted to join the Imperials at the beginning, and then his first actual lightsaber duel doesn't happen to the second movie, and he loses a hand. Rey has her first lightsaber duel, and she effortlessly beats him.
Yeah,
it's just
that was a little bit of Deus Ex Machina for sure.
Yeah. But then the same thing happens in the second movie. Kylo Ren and Rey, angsty teenager and a untrained Jedi, Padawan basically, versus 9 of the most elite warriors of the First Order, and they just blow them out of water.
So you have to watch. What was the guy's name? Freddie Prinze Jr. He was. I sent you that clip. He was on like a podcast or radio show, and he like goes off on. He's like, I talked to George Lucas because he did. I think it was Kanan Jarrus's voice on Rebels. He's like, I talked to George Lucas. Like, I know more about. He's like, it's not these people do good because the Force. The Force is the one that decides like what's gonna happen and what's not. And stuff.
Right. It's instinct. It's all pure instinct.
Yeah. So what I think. What I was just thinking about, I think if they represent anything, that Kylo Ren and Rey represent the boundless, Akka's boundless potential on either sides of the Force.
Well, the thing is, if I feel like the Force shouldn't work like that. That's just bad writing right there. I mean, if the Force was all powerful and tried to actually do things, then why didn't the Force step in at I don't know, Order 66, where there's not one Jedi for 40 years,
Yeah, well, so that's the thing I was telling. I don't know if we talked about this last time. So what I think is so the Force, like any force in nature, is constantly moving towards equilibrium. So the Jedi, I think, screwed themselves when they wiped out all the Sith except for 2, because that's why Sidious is so powerful, because he is he basically
is the avatar.
He's the avatar of the dark side, because there's no other dark side people taking up the dark side. It's just all
except
him.
Except Snoke, Kylo Ren, the Knights of Ren.
Okay, but let's say
also,
there was thousands of Sith beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
We also got to think of it this way too, because first of all, the Sith have no restrictions on their Force using. They could do whatever the hell they want, whereas the Jedi, they have to control pretty much taking a portion of the Force that they keep to stay on that light side of the spectrum, as you could say. Whereas the Sith, it don't matter. They put their feelings into it. They put their
hatred, their
hatred, fear, pain, whatever. Whereas a Jedi has to push out all the way, so they're pretty much just staying on a narrow, straight line.
Well, that would have been interesting to look at the Last Jedi. I thought they were gonna go in a way where, okay, you know what? Yeah, the Jedi were for good, but they were too restrictive. They shot with all their traditions and everything. It's time for the Jedi to end. The Sith are dead. Kylo Ren and Snoke are not Sith. They're just dark side users. It's time for Rey to actually do something and make her own story. But instead, what does they do? She's still a Jedi and she gets captured.
That's true.
She doesn't do anything. She doesn't. That's it's not about what gender she is or anything like that. It's just that they wrote a bad character and they and they just don't do anything to shift away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and hopefully, we'll see that change in episode 6. We'll see that maybe with her turning to the dark side. Even though I told Jimmy this theory, I don't know if you heard about it, Jarrett. Whereas Rey is actually a rogue clone of herself, of a actual Sith girl. Whereas you see that dark Rey where she does that stupid little whip with the lightsaber. Oh, my camera stopped recording again. Sorry.
Okay.
But so in that scene, because in the scene in The Force Awakens, you see Kylo Ren whenever he's like trying to find that droid, and all of a sudden that one officer goes, and there was a girl. Then all of a sudden he like brings that guy over. He's like, what girl? I feel like that the girl he knows about is that she was a rogue clone that got taken away by somebody and put on Jakku, where it was the farthest away from the First Order, and this whole thing is about trying to find that rogue clone and all those. And I think that the Sith troopers are all Rey.
So and also there was a big legend storyline where Sidious he developed the Force power to basically transfer his consciousness. So his contingency plan was he made a bunch of clones of himself, and every time he died, he'd hop back into another clone, a younger version of himself. So,
but he kept the wrinkly one for so long.
Yeah.
About time, new skin.
Damn time.
Yeah, he's like Rick in that last episode. Yeah. So, yeah. So I think they might, go off some, draw some of that source material, like, or even The Force Awakens. Like this whole thing was part of an elaborate cloning program to try and either clone Jedi or Sith or clone the Emperor or something. I honestly I think that whole like dark Rey thing is just a Force vision that she sees.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be a fake out, just like Luke Skywalker's stuff. I mean, I hope they actually like try something new and do something new with this whole one.
Yeah.
But I'm just too from what I've seen, I don't think so.
So the other thing you have to consider is they're basically making all of their movies for the younger generation of kids who've never seen a Star Wars movie before besides these ones, and B, the market in China.
Well, the thing is, like, Star Wars, the original Star Wars and the prequels, they weren't dumb movies. They were complicated. They were interesting. They don't have to dumb it down for the people that are new.
Well, they did that for Return of the Jedi for sure.
Which, the way I saw it, I don't know if it was just me, but I feel like they used the original trilogy as a template for the sequel.
What, you mean the Death Star and the final battle at the White Planet, and then the capture, and then the death of the Supreme Leader after the second time he's seen?
I mean, not just that, but like, well, including that, but
the Hermit Master that dies suddenly because of the Force.
By the way,
it's like, okay, Rey, like, remember Luke? He was just like a little farm boy.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden he gets pulled into it. Same with Rey. Just
literal call to
scavenger,
adventure,
finding parts just to survive, and then all of a sudden, there she is.
Yeah,
getting pulled into it because of a droid. Droid.
She was like, I refuse to answer a literal call to adventure.
Yeah, by the MacGuffin cute droid that has the vital information. But then she's like, and then they get on the Millennium Falcon, meet Han Solo.
And Chewie.
By
the way, guys, did you happen to notice? I thought this was hilarious. Like Finn and Rose spend the entire movie, like the entire like 3/4 of that movie, The Last Jedi, chasing a literal shiny MacGuffin. The hyperspace drive that they have to destroy is literally just a shiny ball MacGuffin that they have to get to.
Yeah, but then they don't do that. That whole arc doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it was a fake out. They're like,
the whole gambling scene was stupid.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but that whole planet, they could have gone the whole entire movie without that. I'm sorry.
I would have liked if they could have, if like at the end where Rose knocks him out of the way of the thing, the tractor beam, that it's gonna blow up everything. She just like admits, I've been working with the First Order. I was the tracker, and I was just trying to get more information. And screw you. That would have made more sense. That would have
been great. That would have been a very good reveal.
That would have subverted my expectations, and it would have had a little bit better of that payoff. It didn't really make sense.
I definitely agree.
But again, not to say anything against the actress who played Rose or the
the actress.
No.
It's just that whole like you say, that whole thing didn't quite make sense.
The thing is, you can have the best actors in the world, but if the writing and the plot aren't there, it's not like all of the actors in The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, and I'm sure in the Rise of Skywalker, they're gonna be putting it their all into it, and they're gonna be doing great. But the writing has to be there. It has to match what our expectations are and the budget.
You know, but let's be real. If it's seriously just 2.5 hours of Chewie making different Wookiee sounds, we're gonna see it because Star Wars owns our souls at this point.
Disney.
Yeah,
Disney owns our souls and my kids'
Oh.
futures.
It's like this is the movie you're going to go see. This is the movie I'm going to go see.
No, it isn't, James. Come, Jarrett. We have to go see it. No. But the thing I don't,
the seats.
the one thing I don't understand is, like obviously the Empire Strikes Back and the Last Jedi are very similar. So at the end of the Empire Strikes Back, you know, the rebels are basically decimated. They lost some of their friends. You know, the rebel army's decimated, and it's a very somber, long take, and it pans out to what's the remainder of the rebel fleet, right? The Last Jedi. Everyone's freaking dead. It's just everybody that can fit in the Millennium Falcon at that point, and they're all hugging and cheering like it's a victory. And then there's enough people to man like 2 ships. No, 1,000 ships. I don't know. I don't understand that.
Wait, I'll bet it's like the miracle at Dunkirk, where like they're like, okay, we need help, and then everyone from across the galaxy converges on the spot.
Well, I think people were pointing out that there were B2 battle droids in the background, so I think they're gonna get separatists. See, I would think that's a cheap move for the nostalgia factor, but at the same time, that'd be really cool to see.
And apparently the ghost, the ship, the Ghost from Rebels is in there too somewhere.
Yeah, that was in the big fleet where you see all those rebel ships. But going back to what Jarrett said about
Are they rebels or
droids,
resistance?
It depends on the era.
It'd be rebels at that point.
It depends on what they say in the script at this point.
Yes.
But
yeah,
going
welcome
back
to
to
a
what
movie.
Well, it can't be both the Resistance and the Rebels. The Rebels are from the original trilogy, and the Resistance is a new faction.
they're basically rebelling from the First Order. It's really all just one big rebellion.
Yeah.
That means that that means that Empire, that the First Order had taken over already, and they're recognizing them as the official power. The Resistance means that they're resisting their.
Well, I think that the point at when we started the Last Jedi, they're saying that the First Order is like gaining grounds and taking over everything. So I think when we come in on the Rise of Skywalker, the First Order is going to be the new Empire, basically.
Okay. But the thing is, sorry, Matt, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to go back to what Jared said about the battle droids. I believe that was actually a vault. An Emperor's secret vault or something that had a bunch of his stuff in it, because you don't just see that, but you see other things in there. And I think that might be just something that they're, because C-3PO is obviously plugged up to something trying to get some sort of data, and I think that's their only way out or something. And I think he's the last resort, and that's why you see it's the last time I see my friends.
I wonder if C-3PO becomes Sidious.
Oh, that would be interesting.
That would be pretty Sidious.
Oh.
All of a sudden he turns on. All of a sudden his lights go on. He turns on and goes,
Aha! Now I've taken over Rey. Wait a minute.
That's where that in the trailer, that laugh, that's where it comes from. His eyes go red. He's like
Well,
and he's like, do it. Do it.
I am the Senate.
Bah!
But another criticism of mine, I'm just saying this, but this is supposed to be in the future, obviously, but they still use
it's long ago in a galaxy far, far away.
But even from the original trilogy, they're still using TIE fighters and X-wings. Nothing's really changed. But from the prequels, you even see in the ship designs where they're gonna lead. The clone destroyers look like what the Imperial destroyers are.
Well, the models of the TIE fighter and the X-wing were actually originally built by I forgot, there was an engineer thing or something, but you actually, in episode 2, you see TIE fighters and X-wings in the city of Coruscant at the bottom.
Well,
it's really weird. It's really, really weird.
The thing is, in Legends as well, it's acknowledged by Thrawn in the Thrawn trilogy. That's a really good book trilogy, by the way.
Oh, I was talk about that.
Yeah, that the TIE fighters are in every way outclassed by the X-wings, and that's acknowledged. Because the Emperor's base, and Emperor's I think is more of a Stalin than a Hitler, because his strategy was just throwing a ton of people at the whatever, and then just hoping that works. So that's
Yeah.
why but the TIE fighters are always going to be outclassed by X-wings. So in the future, when the First Order comes in, shouldn't their like TIE fighters look more like X-wings or be upgraded in some way?
So this is again, I had to read like the extra material that they did not state specifically in the movies. So basically, they're like, okay, they had all Imperial technology, but then they didn't have the Empire's resources. So basically, they took what they had and they improved on it. And they're like, okay, they have less ships, but pound for pound, they're like, twice as strong than any Imperial ships.
So
I don't know.
We should see that. What I really wanted to see from the Force Awakens was that a real battle. The Republic is throwing their stuff at them. They outnumber the First Order, but they're just outclassed by battleships. But at the same time, things are supposed to be better. But in The Last Jedi, we get that bomber scene, which just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. So
As Jimmy put it before, like Jimmy and I talked in a previous podcasting we did last year.
Yeah.
We talked about how like the First Order was like just trying to be wannabes to the Empire. Like, oh yeah, they were like fanboys. Jimmy described Kylo Ren as the white bread, as the Wonder Bread.
Yeah, but I like Kylo Ren. He's like the emotion. He's the Anakin that we never knew we had yet. He's
True.
But he's at least an interesting character, and you can see his struggle throughout the series. That's what Rey doesn't have. She's going through this effortlessly, but he has more character development and emotional moments than she's had.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You
see more of an emotional part of him than you would like with Vader or something, like in before pre or post Anakin. I'm sorry.
Post Anakin.
So it's like, yeah, it's because like I mean when you see him in episode 4 and 5, he's not very like,
Depth.
emotional. Whereas like in Return of the Jedi, it's like he's contemplating a lot of things. But like Kylo Ren from the very beginning, it's like he's trying to prove he is strong, but then all of a sudden he gets put in a position or a test or whatever from Snoke, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Is he gonna choke?
See, that's interesting. Like, I think, that Kylo Ren's just basically a whiny dude, but that's kind of what happens when your uncle tries to, trains you up for your entire life and then tries to kill you, and then...
It only kind of looks like he tried to kill him.
He was trying to squish the spider on your wall, even though the spider collects all the flies in the web.
Yeah. Hold still. There's a spider on you.
Don't move. It's on your face. I'm gonna have to turn the lightsaber on. I'm sorry, man.
But at the same time, my question, I get it. There should be mystery around Snoke and everything. But how did Snoke get to the place where? How do you know about Luke Skywalker? How did he trick Luke Skywalker? Luke Skywalker could sense a little bit of the dark side in his nephew, but couldn't see the obviously bad guy being obviously bad.
Yes. So
maybe it's one of those things.
There was some reference. I forget which novel it was. I think it was the. There was some novel series that Sidious was in, and he mentioned in passing, he's like, I sensed something dark on the outreaches of space, and there's theory that was Snoke, so he sensed it. So there might be something to do with he had a contingency plan with Snoke, but that was another thing I was thinking about. Is that how Luke Leia and Han were we didn't realize we didn't know Snoke's plan until it was too late. So how did they interact?
And how did was Snoke part of the New Republic? Was he in contact with Luke Skywalker? Was I just don't know.
Yeah.
And also to point this out, I'm sorry, but from when I read this comic here, the Kylo Ren comic from the Age of Resistance.
Yeah.
It proves apparently there was a battle that Vader participated in.
Mm-hmm.
Where he led his forces in, and he could not defeat the monster or their god on that planet. Mm-hmm. But Kylo Ren went and did that. So I think the power that Kylo Ren gave off, I feel like Luke could sense that on Kylo.
Right.
Or Ben Solo at the time.
But he saw one glimmer of the light side in Darth Vader, the most evil person in the universe, and then decided, he could be good. But saw like power in his nephew and tried to kill him. I actually understand that if they gave it more time, just explained it more. Like Luke's been training like Jedi. He's been meeting with other like Jedi masters. He's been and he's been trying to bring an end to the light and the dark, and trying to like work with the dark side and the light side. But the dark side is just it can't be worked with. They don't work in tandem. That would be interesting. That would be, that would explain a lot of it, and a lot of people would be okay with it and add actual good depth. It's like a couple lines of dialogue, and they didn't even do that.
Yeah.
Very true.
All right. Well, we're kind of running low on time. Can I bring up like one of my new favorite characters real quick?
No.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Do you guys remember who Jocasta Nu was? I'll give you a hint. Well, if it's not in the archives, it doesn't exist.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So in the movies, she's got like 5 seconds of screen time, and
Yeah.
she's like the librarian. But there's this comic of like after Order 66, and Darth Vader is hunting Jedi they go to the Jedi archives, and she's down there protecting it, and she's like total badass in this comic. So she got a lightsaber rifle, which basically she loads lightsabers into it, and it sets off like you can fire like 2 or 3 really really powerful beams, and it like burns out the lightsaber. So she's fighting with that, and she like almost kills Vader with it. But then there's this one scene where like they captured her, they got her on like a like in a ship, and like like Vader is up in there with the clones, and like she's like, can't you guys see this is Anakin Skywalker? And the clones just like look at him, and then of course he like throws him off the plane because he's like you did that. And she's like, they chose their fates and I've chose mine. She's like, so what's it gonna be? And he turns on his lightsaber, and she's just like, so be it. So
wasn't this like a Vader? Wasn't this part of the Vader series?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like just like this random character that they had like 5 seconds of screen time. She's like a elderly librarian. They turned her into a major badass.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories like that after Order 66. Like she like it's just like one of those characters. So I think they should just do movies on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna say I could do without the Kenobi series.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna keep an open mind for
Yeah.
that, because honestly, if they try to at least make a connection to him coming right from episode 3 going into the movie or going into the show, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have somewhere it's like, oh, this is like 10 years down the road.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just scavenging for parts and
Yeah. Well,
cutting himself off with the Force.
Well, we saw him in Rebels, by the way. Favorite scene in the entire Star Wars canon is the final duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. So we saw him in the, that's like his that's like the in between time. He's like in the desert meditating and like coming to terms with stuff. And you see that when he fights Maul, like not only is he like protecting Luke, but he is like come to term with the Force and himself to like even like forgive Maul and like hold on to him in his last moments. He was his worst enemy.
Yeah, that was a way. I thought that was a great way to bring it together.
Yeah.
As far as like it's like Maul knows. I think at this point, I think he was already burned out. Like I don't think it was really much about like vengeance at this point. He just wanted to like prove himself that he could probably still do what he could do before. It's like almost like fighting your age.
Yeah.
And I think that him actually doing that, I think he was actually relieved that it happened.
Yeah. So
Because he already had enough pain as it was.
Yeah, I think what I got from that is I think Maul was like one of those characters. Most of these characters are two-dimensional anyway, but I like to read into them. But like he seemed like he was like one of those people like, okay, all he's ever known was like this life of vengeance and trying to be a Sith, and like that's all he could do. And then like even in his last moments, the only thing that gave him any solace was knowing that he would have revenge posthumously. So I feel like Obi-Wan like felt like that's one of the things he's felt sorry for Maul, because like he's like well, you could do all this good, but all you have is this dark side.
Did you see that the comic strip or whatever they had for Maul when he was a kid? He was forced to watch Jedi, or I think it was something about Jedi killing a certain amount of people or something, and he had to he was forced to watch it by Palpatine.
He had a Force vision of like the first Sith War or something.
Yeah, and it was that, and there was something where when he was a child, he was forced to watch the Jedi slaughter something from Palpatine or whatever. And I think that drove that hatred towards the Jedi, and I think that's why he was the way he was.
Yeah, but
Yes.
like I'm also keeping an open mind about the Obi-Wan series because Ian
Yeah.
McGregor, you know,
Oh, I watch him read
Yeah,
the phone
dude,
book, for
totally,
sure.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
And The Mandalorian, 2 thumbs up.
Oh yeah, the Mandalorian. You know, guys, that's just. Oh man, I wish honestly they would just bring all the episodes all at once.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
is that just so I know? Does that take place after the Battle of Endor or?
Yes, it's like
That was 5
years
years after.
Yeah, so like one of the first scenes is like, you know, so he captures the bounty, he goes in to get paid, and the guy's like, here, Imperial credits. By the way, the guy is Carl Weathers. It's like, yeah, put all these together.
Carl Weathers,
You got a stew.
baby, you got a stew going.
You got a stew. Yeah. Watch Arrested Development, you'll get that joke. So,
Oh my gosh.
and he's like, here's Imperial credits. He's like, I don't know if you've heard, there's no Empire anymore. He's like, okay, I'll pay you in like Mon Calamari payment, but I can only pay you half. He's like, fine. So, my review of the Mandalorian is, I knew it was going to be a space western, but it kind of, like, it really leaned on like all the tropes. He's basically the man with no name in the Star Wars universe.
But he's Oberyn Martell.
Yes, we think. Oh my God. He's gonna take his helmet off eventually, and I imagine, you know how Pedro Pascal, he always has the mustache.
Mhm.
You know, the girl's just gonna take his helmet off, and it's gonna be like in Rick and Morty, like, oh,
He's like,
oh,
hmm?
oh, you've
Oh.
got a mustache. It's like, do you guys
That's
have
my
the term
favorite thing.
hat on a hat?
That was that scene. I was just thinking of that scene too, right when you were starting to talk about it. I was like, oh, dude, he's gonna talk about Rick and Morty.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh
oh,
god.
you've got a mustache. So
Dude,
yeah,
but baby
Baby Yoda.
Yoda.
Yes.
Baby Yoda's so cute,
Also,
man.
I
I'm
found
sorry.
out that George Lucas officially, it's called the Yoda species. So it's not like a colloquial thing like, oh, this baby looks like Yoda, so it's Baby Yoda. That's a Baby Yoda.
Yeah. End of story. It's Baby Yoda. We're not
I
calling it anything
love how
else.
I love that mystery about it. How we don't know what he really is.
I know.
Like Yoda, like you say, it's a Yoda. It's like that. We all we know it's Yoda.
Yeah.
So Baby Yoda's out there.
But yeah, but like as soon as I saw like him with like that little thing, like the little like cradle following him around, I'm like, this is gonna be Wolf and Cub. Have you guys ever heard of
Oh
that?
yeah.
Yeah. So like for those of you guys that don't know, Wolf and Cub is a I think it's a Kurosawa samurai series, film series, and basically this guy is a Ronin samurai who's constantly getting attacked by assassins, and but he's got a baby son, so he's like pushing his baby son around in a stroller, and then he has to like fight off assassins. So that's I think that's pretty much where they're gonna go with this.
I also am really interested in the Mandalorian because I've always been like I'm like one of those people that I'm not just interested in like Rome itself, but like also the fall of Rome and what happens after. Like I was always interested in, you know, what happens to the Empire that rules the galaxy and has all these planets, has all these armies and all these armadas. What happens afterwards? You know, it's not like just kill like the evil emperor, then everyone just goes home. There's still, like, even after the second Death Star is destroyed, there's still a war to fight, you know? Even in the Thrawn trilogy, they go over that, you know? It's still like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll get some of that in Rise of Skywalker through some archival footage or something. But
Yeah, or just have some like brief history that they talk about the Mandalorians and bring it up at least.
yeah. So did you guys also catch the some dialogue from the guy he was bounty hunting in the first scene? So he's like, I was hoping to get back to the you know, Family for Life Day, which is the Christmas analog celebration that they have in the Star Wars Christmas special.
We don't talk about the Christmas special.
But Jon Favreau's come out
in
and
the
said that he
vault.
would be interested in making another Star Wars Christmas
Just the
special.
worst thing ever. Just
It's in the vault. It's in the Aaron Nerdy One vault.
yeah, just like, but I think they should just like go all in and just make it the most awkward thing ever. Just like everyone just doesn't want to be there.
Like
Oh my gosh.
everyone is Harrison Ford in the first one.
Yeah, they force Harrison Ford to go there to do this, but he doesn't have to. He just does whatever he wants. He's just drunk and swearing the entire time.
He just dresses up as Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter. He just comes in with a whip and just like, All right, Chewie.
And Mark Hamill comes out and it's just like, you ruined my character. I hate all of you. And the girl who plays Rey is just trying to be as bubbly as possible, but she's just like, she just can't hold this shit storm together.
Daisy doesn't really want to be there, so she's just kind of like,
Yeah. And
And
like
then Rose shows up and then leaves.
all the Chewbacca costumes should be like made out of paper mache.
Or they're
And all of a sudden
just
they-
guys in ghillie suits.
No, it's not just that. It's just like they also have like the voice changers now, like like the Chewbacca
Oh,
ones where you
yeah.
open the mouth and it does a thing. Everybody's just wearing those.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
all. That's all it is.
It's something I saw in the. I actually watched the Christmas special. The Grandpa Chewbacca watches erotic stuff.
Yeah,
It's
he
supposed to be
he watches like an erotic VR program or something.
And then the kid Chewbacca has like human teeth and it like smiles.
And,
That was the whole point.
and
It was such a low budget, man.
completely unsettling, but we don't talk about that.
The first rule of the Christmas special is you don't talk about the Christmas special.
That's why we keep it in the vault, Jarrett. It's in the vault.
I didn't bring it up. James did.
I did. I mean, but it's
Jimmy.
it's canon now because they said it in the Mandalorian.
It's
Oh,
canon.
see, okay.
They should do
well-
like one with Kylo Ren. He comes like, I know we are hated enemies, but once a year.
Once a year on Life Day, we set all that aside. Happy Life Day, hands him a
And then
present.
he was like shooting on the outside, and he like goes, "Stormtroopers, no genocide today. No, it's a bat."
Everybody, take your helmets off.
gets a
But you,
spray bottle.
Phasma,
That's a
keep it
bat.
on.
It's a bad stormtrooper.
But you, Phasma, keep your helmet on, please.
Wait, isn't she dead? No, not in the Christmas special. She's
Not in the Christmas. She like crawls out. She's like
Or
she's about to come kill Finn, and all of a sudden Finn hands her like a package, and it's like
Oh.
Or Hux
opens it up.
has
It's a new helmet. It's a new helmet.
or Hux has a Christmas Carol experience, and one of the ghosts is Phasma, and another one of the ghosts is Snoke, and the third one would be Harrison Ford. Like not Han Solo, Harrison Ford.
Bah humbug.
Just Harrison Ford.
I hate Life Day. I don't know why Kylo Ren does this. I'm Captain Phasma of Life Day Future. I'm here to show you what you're like. And it's just the same actor. He's just alone.
Oh my god! But yeah, we're really running up on that time. But
Okay.
that was a great episode, guys.
Yeah.
Definitely make sure to subscribe and like and comment on this. If you have any questions, let us know.
Let us know what your predictions for Rise of Skywalker are.
Also,
Yes.
let us know what your favorite Star Wars moment is in Legends or otherwise.
Absolutely.
Ooh, there you go. Also, check us out on Instagram, on Twitter, and SoundCloud, and Facebook, all at Area Nerdy 1. But this has been Matt.
This has been Jimmy.
And this has been Jarrett.
See you soon.
You're gonna delete all that, right?
We're gonna get.
Wait, this was the test run, right?
Wipe the drives.
Put it in the
Oh, I
vault.
didn't click record.